What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about some negative Canadian encounters with Americans. Oh boy, today I want to take a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked, do you encounter stereotypical Americans in your day-to-day life? I like this word, encounter. Do you encounter Americans? It's like, do you encounter aliens or something like that? Except it's scarier. Do you encounter Americans in your day-to-day life? I have to say, here in America, like, we, for the most part, do not really encounter Canadians all that often. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure I've ever encountered a Canadian in America myself. Oh my gosh, when I think about it, not that I know of. Maybe there's a Canadian that I've encountered that I didn't know of. Huh. Anyway, that's really got me. I'll be thinking about that later. Huh. Who's out there? So this person goes on to say, I am an American, but I work with Canadians and Americans every day. And I hear Canadians complain about us all the time. That's another thing. I don't know how much Canadians encounter Americans or interact with Americans. Most of us Americans don't interact or encounter Canadians, and we certainly don't complain about Canadians. So I don't know. I feel like this might be a little bit one-sided. I mean, not that I can blame you too much, because America certainly has its fair share of stuff to critique and complain about. But man, this is harsh, hearing that Canadians complain about us Americans all the time. All the time? Isn't there other stuff to complain about? Is it just Americans? Oh, come on. So they basically are saying, if you have encountered the American stereotype, what have we said or done? And what part of the United States were they from? Okay, yeah. So basically, I thought today it would be fun, or at least entertaining. Maybe not fun for me, but now that I fully understand the topic here, what are some terrible experiences you've had with Americans? Let's go. But this will be entertaining to see what Canadians have to say about us Americans. Have you ever encountered an American in real life? And did the American live up to the negative stereotype that Americans have? So let's take a look at some of the answers here from Canadians, starting with, I usually encounter Americans when traveling, and 9 out of 10 times they're friendly, if a bit loud. If a bit... Oh my gosh. The stereotype is true? I feel like I want to be very quiet now. I want to be very quiet. I'm shouting. I am the American... I got to get close to the microphone. I am the American stereotype. I'm shouting in these videos, just screaming. Okay, whatever, fine. We're a bit loud, whatever. Okay, the most, but they say 9 out of 10 times we're friendly. That's good to hear. I tend to agree with that, especially in the more rural parts of America. Most people, most humans are like fairly nice, or at least not, overtly mean or rude, but it depends on where you are in America. As soon as you get to like the more populated areas, the bigger cities, like that can completely change. And I think in America, even in the less populated areas, we have more of a diversity of like some of the nicest people and then some of the rudest people, and it's kind of random. But I don't know, maybe the average is, on average, we're probably a little more rude. But anyway, the most stereotypical American encounter I had was on a flight in Peru when I was sitting next to an American university student who spent much of the flight explaining to his Canadian seatmates that Canadians don't have freedom of speech. Oh, jeez. Of course, this is what. Of course, this is what the American was ranting about. Oh my god! For a lot of American, maybe this is one of the annoying things about Americans I haven't even thought about, and it's how we think we're doing everything so perfectly, so correctly. Our political system, our government is the best, and our free speech and our rights is the only possible way to do things and view life. And yeah, this attitude of like being on an airplane where nobody can get away from you, and you're like, hey, Canadians, this you don't have free speech. Like, oh my, I could bet that everyone wanted to slap him. He had that kind of aggressively confident ignorance you usually only encounter online. Wow. What is this? We have a Charter of Rights and Freedoms. We have the freedom of expression. So long as you don't violate anyone's charter rights. What is the Charter of Rights and Freedoms? Is that like a Canadian version of like the American Bill of Rights? Or huh. I might have to look up that sometime. Huh. I've never heard that term, Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I went to university in a border city, Windsor. So there were loads of Americans coming to drink legally in Canada. What's the drinking age in Canada? Could it be like 18? That would be 3 years younger than in America, where it's 21. So if you're an American, you can go into Canada at 18 and drink? I did not know that. It's nobody told me about this. What? Really? The Americans were loud, entitled. They thought we were all hicks and that we lived in igloos. Oh boy. Bro, you live 25 minutes away from me. Are you living in an igloo? Oh no. Is this serious? Wow, this is a bad one. This is a negative Canadian encounter with Americans, if ever I heard one. I don't know. This kind of this is so stereotypical American that we're loud, entitled, that you think other people are hicks, like country type of, who live in igloos. Yeah, that's another thing Americans do say. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense if it's on the Canadian border. Where's Windsor? I think that's by Michigan. People there should like know that the climate is literally the same. Like if you're bordering. Oh boy. Back in pre 9/11, people in southern Saskatchewan who lived by the border would go to Montana to buy groceries. My 6th grade teacher told her that people kept asking her if she lived in an igloo, even though she lives less than half an hour away. That is so funny to me, because I grew up, like, growing up in America. I'm not by the border, but I've never lived by the Canadian border. And I heard, oh, Canadians live in the snow and in igloos. And it's like, I don't know why we're taught that. It's kind of weird now that I've heard it enough as an adult. But so even the Americans who live right by Canada think you're all living in igloos? Like, what? Even what? That's just like lack of common sense, which nobody claimed we had. So let's keep going here. When I worked, retail summers were full of American tourists complaining that they couldn't spend US dollars at our store, and would argue vehemently about it. Oh my, this is just, man, the nerve of us Americans. But seriously, that is just a sense of entitlement that I'm a bit ashamed and embarrassed of my fellow Americans going into Canada and being upset that you can't use United States bills, like a United States $20 bill. Like they're mad they can't do that. It's a different country. It's got different currency. That'd be like if Canadians came into America trying to spend Canadian bills, which look completely different, and like getting upset that we were like, I don't know what to do with this. Wow. Eventually, we were told to accept American cash, but they would have to accept Canadian change back. Oh, God. So many arguments about that. Couldn't understand why we couldn't give them back American cash. Well, I don't even want you to give them back American cash. I don't think you should cater just because the Americans are being annoying, that you have to cater to us or anything. We'll never learn if you do that. Let's keep going. This is pretty eye-opening. Some part of me, some little American part of me, was really hoping that these wouldn't be too bad. That the American stereotype is just overblown. You know, we're not actually that loud and entitled and annoying, and I don't know. These stories are kind of proving that point. What are some more negative Canadian encounters with Americans? In my real life, absolutely yes. Every day? Not really, not anymore. Okay. I grew up in a beach village near the border and worked in the only grocery store as a teenager, and we had almost cartoonishly stereotypical Americans come in every single day during the summer. What is a cartoonishly stereotypical American? Like, American coming in with a cowboy hat, an American flag draped around them like a cape, eating some barbecue off a stick, riding on a bald eagle. Is that what that means? I had more than one person ask me how recently we had gotten cars in Canada. What? What? Now? What? No. No. I had more than one American ask me how recently we had gotten cars in Canada. I mean, thinking that all Canadians live in igloos is bad enough. But asking if you guys have cars is downright insulting. I had more than one ask me what it was like having winter all year long. Yeah, I think this might be the number one biggest misconception for Americans. Most Americans think Canada is most of the time, or all of the time, cold, winter, snow. I remember kind of thinking that as a child, and I don't know where we go wrong, because it's not like our teachers are teaching us that. They're adults, and I think they know better. But I don't know what it is. Is it like the media we consume, the cartoons, or I don't know where we get this idea, where it seems like every American thinks this. Even though I live in a town on a beach, I had a surprising number of people ask me why we don't have guns and where to buy guns. Oh my, why don't you have any guns? And where can I get some? Like, what? Oh boy. Oh, I can't tell you how many stupid conversations I've had about money. We would take the US currency, but didn't have the ability to calculate exchange, so we took it as 1-to-1. I think that works out better for Canadians, because Canadians would want to trade one Canadian dollar for an American dollar, because an American dollar is like 1.3 Canadian dollars or something. I had so many people complain when I gave them back Canadian cash. They said without fail, what am I supposed to do with this? God, even the attitude God, man. Like, what a way to even say that. And I'm sure the Canadians explained, like, we have to give you Canadian money in change. And still, it's like, Americans, what am I supposed to do with this? Oh my God. The worst time of all was a few years back. I was flying from Toronto to Dublin, Ireland. I was seated next to a really chatty guy on a plane. What's with all these plane encounters? God, Canadians, don't get stuck next to an American on an airplane. That's what I'm learning today. He got nowhere to go. He was from the United States, and connecting through Toronto, he asked me what state I was from. Oh boy, I told him I was Canadian. I'm not from the US. He argued with me about it. He insisted I was lying because my English was too good. It's bad. It's bad. I don't even know what to say about that. That's bad. He doesn't think Canadians speak English, or and so I had to be from the United States, and he just wouldn't drop it and kept insisting I was lying. God, it'd be kind of scary being next to this kind of crazed American. Even as an American, I'm a little scared. He's like, "You're lying. You're lying." I don't know why they sound like that. You're lying. You're not Canadian. You speak English far too well. You're like desperately trying to unbuckle your seatbelt an inch away. I was like, bro, we're literally in Canada right now. Why is it so impossible to believe that someone might be taking a flight out of Canada might be Canadian? Oh my goodness gracious. Thinking that Canadians live in igloos. And this is the worst one so far. Saying Canadians speak English? And then saying, you're lying. You're a liar. Canadians don't speak English. You're a liar. Where are you from? Oh my goodness. Worked for years in hotel reservations, starting at a call center for a chain. Some of the questions and comments from Americans include, okay, I'd like to book a hotel in downtown Canada. Oh, no way. No way. Downtown Canada. Do y'all accept real dollars? Oh, no. Thinking Canada is a total wasteland where you can snowmobile anywhere. Yep, I've heard that one. Thinking snowstorms only start the second you cross the Canadian border. Like there's an invisible barrier and no states get the snow. Just Canada. I'm telling you, this really is a thing Americans think. Not realizing that Toronto is a decently large city. It's the biggest Canadian city, right? It's like massive, right? Not knowing that you can go to your bank to exchange USD for CAD, or grasping that the local currency, that you should have the local currency on you would be a good idea. I know, seriously, if you're going to Canada, or any country for that matter, why would you not do the bare minimum of research? And I don't know, maybe that's too commonsensical. Booking a trip, then calling to ask if there are actually any things to do here. That's just insulting. And booking a trip, then panicking that we might not have vegetarian food. Oh, oh my God. I could write books about the dumb things Americans have said to me. Maybe you should, because it's sad, but it's strangely entertaining, even as an American. I'm ending this now, and I'm ending this a bit embarrassed, a bit ashamed for my fellow Americans. This is just, if you have some silly thoughts like this, at least keep them to yourself. But there's a lot of Canadians here that have some pretty crazy stories about encountering very stereotypical Americans. It's funny that Americans talk about Canadians and the Canadian stereotype. Like, do you speak English? Do you live in igloos? Do you not take our money? Where it's Americans are fulfilling our stereotype of being ignorant, among many other things. Oh, man, pretty crazy. But I don't know. I did find this strangely entertaining, and I don't know. Gosh. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with, perhaps, if you're Canadian, your encounters with Americans. That'd be very interesting to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and learning about Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.